Hello. Today we are going to talk about 4 different strategy to sell your house in today's market. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Long Clay. I am the real estate agent here in Phoenix, Arizona. I am more than happy to share with you. This is the 4 different ways. Actually, a lot of people are thinking there's only one way to sell your house on the market, but there's actually 4 different ways. And today I'm gonna share with you all the things, all the strategies that I know. Each strategy going to be different to depend on how much profit you want to earn and what kind of time frame that you have. If you have a short time frame, if you can wait, depend on that as well. At the end, I will share with you how to pick the right strategy for you. With that, let's dive right into the content. So, as you know, today we are going to talk about 4 different strategy, and this is a high level of what the 4 strategy looks like. We are going to talk about strategy number 1, very traditional and active marketing of your house on the market. Number 2, the strategy buy before you sell. This one is best for those of you who are looking to locate to a different area and cannot qualify for the mortgage, for both mortgages at the same time. And number 3, creative financing. This one is the best way for you if you in a situation that you don't have a lot of equity to sell for strategy number 1 and number 2, or you have a short timeline. Talking about short timeline, strategy number 4 is selling it for iBuyer and wholesaler is even faster as well. So with that, let's dive right into the content. Okay, so number 1, active marketing. And here's basically what it is basically you're gonna hire an agent to help you with marketing your property onto the market. All right. So now use the keyword. Remember, I have the keyword here is an active marketing. The main reason is that you have to hire an experienced real estate agents who already have some marketing strategy to put your house onto the market, because everyone can become an agent, but not everyone can have the right marketing strategy. If your house is a good house, if it is listed correctly with the right price, then it should be sold, right? But for some situation, for some difficult situation, you have to hire an experienced agent, or even some situation, if you want a higher profit, you have to hire an agent with a marketing strategy to help marketing your property. Because at the end of the day, selling a house is marketing a product to the potential buyer on the market, right? So that's the reason why I use the word active marketing, because a lot of people, a lot of agents just put the listing onto the market and not doing anything and just pray that the house getting sold. Okay. But active marketing, they do have to implement multiple channels to advertise the property to the potential as much as possible. And therefore, you have more support from them in terms of the marketing has to tailor to a specific house. First of all, it has to use a professional photographers, it has to use a professional videographer. They have to have experience with social media, because guess what? Social media is the number 1 channel, the number 1 marketing channel nowadays in the market, right? Because everyone getting on the social media platform. But that doesn't mean that anytime you run an ad on Facebook or YouTube, you will be successful, because not everyone know how to do it, right? So you have to have an agent that familiar with those new marketing strategy as well. The other aspect of that is I'm sorry to go over this. On top of the marketing strategy, an agent is gonna be some situation they can have more experience than you, right? If you only sell like 1 or 2 house, the agent is gonna already have a lot of experience, so can help you out with understanding the form, understanding of the process, to make sure that you don't do anything illegal and break the law. Okay, so that is another aspect that an agent can help you out as well. So because of the different agents, you do have to ask the question, because you never know how you can make the right decision of choosing the right agents for you. Here are some suggested questions that you may have, right? Number one, do you work a full-time or not? Okay, believe it or not, a lot of realtor, a lot of agents getting the license and work on it, work on the real estate, selling and buying houses as just a side hustle. And for that reason, it's not really effective, because they, first of all, they're not going to have enough time to take care of you, to take care of your asset. Number two, they don't have the experience needed to response to some situation, some tricky situation, right? And number three, also about time, they're not gonna have 100% dedication of time to work in this business, right? They have to work in a full time, so you end up maybe more difficult, more challenging for you to reach out to that agent as well. All right, so that's number one question. Number two is, how many potential buyers and sellers do they talk? Knowing this number can give you an understanding how busy they are in the industry, how effective they are. Okay, when I say the word busy, it doesn't mean that they talk to 100 people a day gonna be bad, right? It's actually good, because they actually getting closer to the market. They're getting closer to the end user, either the buyer or the seller, right? So they understand what the seller and the buyer need, and therefore they're gonna make the marketing strategy of your property match with the need of the market. Okay. And number three question is, how can they marketing your house? How can they encourage other realtor to show or sell your house, right? Or it could be, in other words, what kind of strategy to do. If some agent just say, hey, that's easy, your house should be sold very quickly, right? And just put on the MLS and that's it. Well, true. Well, maybe you are able to sell the house in that way, but how do you know if you get the best price? Okay, so for that reason, you have to understand the marketing strategy that the agent is going to implement on your property. Okay, what can you know? What can they know about the market? Okay, if an agent do not understand about the market, if they don't understand, if they don't know like what is the average sold price in this neighborhood, or what kind of return, what kind of appreciation or depreciation a market has, right? Then how can they know? How can they know the condition of the market, and therefore appropriately price your property, price your house, right? So that is another important question. What is the recommended, and talking about price, right? What is the recommended price? They have to tailor, they have to match the market condition with the price. They have to price the house appropriately with the market condition. For example, if it is a seller market, right, then you can list a little bit closer to the market value, okay, and then still get the good price, okay. If it is a buyer's market, right, perhaps maybe we have to adjust it accordingly. Maybe they have to recommend some of the repairs needed, some of the renovation needed, so that you can get the best market value for the property that you have, right? So, and then I have many more as well. If you are interested in receiving the full list of 50 questions that you can ask the listing agents during the presentation, feel free to email me at the address below and then request that list sent to you, okay? All right. Number two strategy is the buy before you sell strategy. Based on the name, right? You kind of understand what the basic strategy of what the basic idea of this strategy is, that you actually go buy another house before you sell. Talking is easy, right? Because most of the situation, the buyer, you, right, will have to take the mortgage, right? Most of the time, not everyone can afford paying cash 100%, right? So most of the time, they're gonna take on the mortgage. And for some people, qualifying for two mortgages is not an easy thing to do. The first house that they're living in and the second house that they buy in the future, right? So to qualify for the both mortgages, they have to have a really good income. They have to have a very low debt to income ratio so that they can qualify for both mortgages, right? So in some situation that may be a challenge because not everyone have the income that they need, or maybe because they have too much debt already and cannot qualify for the mortgage, both mortgages at the same time. So what is the solution? And by the way, the idea of buy before you sell is this: buying a house is very difficult, challenging process, right? As you know, if you already own a house, selling the house is also a complicated process. And in this situation, if you have to relocate to different location and you combine the two complication process, it's going to be crazily complicated for you, and it's going to be for some people, if they are new to the process, therefore you're not going to be able to go through the entire process freely, right? Instead, what I recommend in that situation is that you go buy, because you don't have a stress anymore. If you sell the house before you buy, you may end up with you already have the contract on the house and you have to rush into selecting the one that you want, right? So that's the reason why I recommend to go buy first. To go buy first, you have as much time as you need to select the right one. You move to that house, and then eventually when you are done, you sell the current house whenever you're done. That doing that way not only give you the time to select the right house for you, but also give you the time to prepare for the current house and no longer disrupting the showing process, and therefore potentially have a higher return of when you sell the house. Okay, but obviously, you know, some of the situation is not work, and what is the solution? There's plenty of company right now on the market offering some special program. It's called buy before you sell, basically, right? Each company has a different name, but for the two company that I know is a Homeward and Easy Knock. Basically, these companies solve the problem, like even though you are not qualified for both mortgages at the same time, they still be able to offer you that option. They actually allow you to go buy the house that using their own cash. Okay, of course the house at that time going to be under the company's name, not in your name. You rent the property, you move into that property for a little bit while, right? And then sell your house. Whenever you are able to sell the house, then you can buy that house back from the company. So that's the basic idea. Keep in mind that this one doesn't require you to qualify for both mortgages at the same time, right? If it does, then it doesn't make sense to go with a company, right? Because there's a catch. The catch is going to be a program fee. Okay, it could be 2%, 3% from the of the new purchase price of the house, of the price of the new house, right? So it's normally the 2% up to 3%. So that is a catch, number one. However, though, in some situation, the company is okay with waiving the cost if you use their preferred lender. Okay, so we can talk more about that to evaluate whether it is a good fit for you. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is that during the period that the house is owned by them, right? You have to make the two payments at the same time. One is the mortgage of the new house. One is the mortgage of the old house, and one is the rent of the new house. So that could be a financial burden for some people as well if you cannot move enough to sell the house. However, though, I think it's still the benefit of this is still over the downside, financial downside, right? Because you don't want to make the wrong decision. All right, I think making the wrong decision is more difficult, more challenging to try to overcome the financial burden for about 1 or 2 months and then sell the house later, right? Because when you make the wrong decision, select the wrong house, when you can sell it, but then you're going to be a substantial loss, a lot of loss as well, because there's a cost associated with selling the house also. Okay, so that's my advice. The number three strategy is a creative financing strategy. This one is basically there are two different variety, right? Number one is, let's say if the owner already pay off the property, they own the house free and clear, then you can ask them to offer you, instead of you going to get the loan, right? Instead of the buyer going to get the loan from the bank and then end up paying the interest on that house to the bank, right? You as a seller can offer that loan to the buyer and keep all the interest that the buyer going to pay the bank anyway, right? So that is number one. Number two, in the situation that you still have the mortgage, there's some documents that we can do to transfer to make sure that the buyer is still making the payment on that loan. You allow the buyer to keep that loan and continue making the payment while they're gonna pay the remaining the difference in terms of the purchase price and the balance of the loan to you. Okay. All right, so those are the two varieties of the creative financing options. There's a couple of questions. Why the seller have to do that? There's many reasons, but I think the two most important reasons that I want to emphasize is that number one, some sellers want to make more profit. All right, think about a house at 500, for example. Okay, at the end of the 30 years, you not only just pay 500, right? You pay something appropriately somewhere around million. Okay, so that's almost double the amount of money that you're supposed to pay if you pay it with cash, right? Now, some of the seller want to do the same thing. So instead of the buyer paying the bank, they can get all the interest, and they can, instead of selling the house for 500, they can sell the house and get potentially a total of 700 or 600, for example. Okay, so that's still way much more than selling a house outright on the market. And number two, there's some situation, for example, the relocation. Like after they buy the house, they have to relocate to a different area. But like I said earlier, if you sell the house and if you buy the house and sell the house in a very short period of time, you don't have enough equity to be able to gain some profit, because anytime that you sell a house, there's a cost associated with that. The closing cost, the agent fee, moving fee, cleaning fee. There's a lot of things that you have to pay, and therefore you may not have the capacity to do so outright. Instead of that, if you allow the buyer to take over the mortgage, they may be able to pay you the difference in terms of the selling price and the loan balance, right? And then you can keep the difference and move on to the next stage. Okay. The next question a lot of people ask is it illegal? Is it illegal? And the answer is absolutely 100%, 100% legal, right? So no, it is not illegal. In fact, the Arizona Association of Realtors has a specific addendum document, okay, so that they can lay out the detail of the creative financing. Okay, what is the interest rate of? What happens if the buyer doesn't pay off? What service company that the buyer and the seller are gonna use, and things like that. So if an association, if an organization has a legal form for that, it must be legal, right? There's no one doing it behind the scene or anything like that. In fact, it is more popular in the commercial world than in residential. Okay, so it's not a new thing that just recently come up for the last 2 years, although it become more and more popular for the last 2 years because of the high interest rate right now. Okay. All right. If I still have the mortgage, can I do it? Absolutely, yes, right? There's some more paperwork that need to be done to make sure that the buyer still continue to pay. Because one of the question that the buyer come up is that what if the buyer doesn't pay? All right, so you have to make sure that you are able to get back the property in that situation, rather than getting into a trouble with the buyer, right? So there's a lot of things that to be taken care of during this the process as well. So if you do have any question about this, let me know, and I will be more than happy to share with you much more detail about this strategy. All right. Why haven't I heard about this strategy? Right? Because it's not a common thing in residential, right? And just recently, because the high interest rate and the creative financing, most of the time is going to be lower than the market place. Okay, so therefore, that's why it's become more and more popular in today's market, because the market rate is so high right now. Okay. All right, number 4 strategy is selling to investor, and specifically for 4A, we are going to talk about iBuyer. Okay, iBuyer is a big company with a lot of cash in reserve, right? They are invested by investor, and they put the money into the company, and the company use those money to buy property. iBuyer, most of the time, they just do some kind of minor fix, cosmetic fix, and then resell the property onto the market. For some of the example, like Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow used to have iBuyer program as well, but that program already terminated. And then some other company, smaller company like Easy Street Offer and other local iBuyer in the market as well. So iBuyer is not the new concept. It's actually become more and more popular during COVID as well. Okay, so the idea of the company, the idea of the iBuyer is that the benefit of it is sell quickly, and is for sure. When you are under contract with an iBuyer, it's very less likely that they are canceled. Okay, but there is also a cost. Okay, so there's some extra fee that may be associated with using the iBuyer. For example, Open Door, they normally require 5% fee. Well, it's maybe different from time to time, so don't quote me on that. 5% fee, as well as some of the fee associated with the repair that they deem to be needed to be done by the seller as well. Okay, so there's a cost there. You pay those costs because you want to buy the time. Right? If you want to sell it quick, if you want more certainty, then iBuyer is the way to go. Do I need an agent to represent me? Absolutely. Here's the thing, okay? Not every company, not all the iBuyer are gonna have the same system, same process. This process is completely different. So, and then if you don't have the experience with the iBuyer, you might not be able to navigate through the process. So that's also the key, right? So if an agent is not familiar with the iBuyer process, they may not be able to help you neither. So you do absolutely need an agent to help you out, okay? But you have to make sure that they also familiar with the iBuyer process. Someone already worked with a company before. Someone have the knowledge of the local market. Who is a smaller iBuyer company, so that you can get the most out of it. Okay, because most of the time, if you sell with the iBuyer, you don't have to list on the open market as well anymore, right? But for that situation, you want to get offers from multiple iBuyer company as much as possible, so that you can compare which one gives you the best and potentially negotiate back with the other iBuyer company, right? Or maybe just choose the best bottom line for you in that situation. All right. The number 3 is, I basically just answered that question too. Are all buyer companies the same? The process, the answer is no, right? They have a different process. They have a different model to evaluate the deal and give the offer, right? So you do have to check with multiple companies to make sure that you get the best money for your house. Next is last, is wholesaler. Now, to be honest with you, this may not be the best for everyone. Okay, here's what. The idea is they're gonna buy the house at a very deep discount and then resell the property to an open market. Okay, it could be either a flipper, or it could be to a primary home owner. Okay, normally they're gonna drop the price like 70 to 85%. Okay, so that they have enough gap between the sold price, the sale price with the market value, and then use that as a profit. Okay, they can another benefit is they can sell very quickly, even faster than an iBuyer company as well. They normally don't require any repair to be done by the seller also. So it's a convenient, it's a time, and it's fast, right? It's time, fast, and convenient. So why do I have to do that? Some situation, for example, if you are in a foreclosure situation, if you are in a divorce situation, very distressed situation, most of the time, the seller tend to accept this approach because they want to get out of the house quickly, regardless of the money, the amount. Okay. So that's what the reason why I'm saying is not for everyone, and it's only effective for someone that need to move very quickly, or they can no longer afford the payment of the property. Okay. So how to appropriate select the best approach to sell the house. Okay, so it depends, like I said earlier, it depends on the net proceed and the distress level that you may have. Okay, for example, as you see here, the traditional method, in that situation you don't have a lot of distress, right? And then this one tend to give you the most profit out of the three. Okay, if you want to buy before you sell, obviously you are in a situation that you have a little bit stress, right? Even though the idea of the method is to reduce the stress, but like I said, buying a house or selling a house has an inherent risk, right? Inherent stress. So you do have to have some stress here more than the traditional. If you do both at the same time, and obviously the profit is less because you have to pay a fee if you are in a situation that you cannot qualify for the two mortgages at the same time. Some of you may ask, what if I can afford for two mortgages at the same time, for the new house and the old house? Then you are in the traditional method, right? Because you don't do anything more different than the traditional method. Creative financing, cash investor, iBuyer, those are basically the situation, I think, only applicable for the one who already on the market for a long time, who cannot sell the house, maybe potentially get a very good discount on that one, take a very big discount on that one, and so that they can get rid of the house at the as fast as possible. Okay, as a real estate agent, I think the most important goal is to sit down with the seller to evaluate the situation that the seller currently have and recommend the best method. I'm not always recommend the traditional method for everyone. For example, like I said, if a family in the divorce situation, they have to get out of the house within a week, all right, then traditional method will not be able to help them out with that. Okay, cash investor may be a better approach, for example. Okay, but if they do have time, then I have to recommend the traditional method, and then potentially go through the marketing strategy that I have to recommend the traditional method is a better way. All right, so for that reason, I think as an agent, familiar with the four strategy is the best approach, and then therefore to make sure that they can give the good recommendation to help the seller sell the house on the market. Okay, and the key point is that the strategy here is the agent has to be familiar with the strategy, and to help the seller make an informed decision rather than make their decision, right? Because sometimes the seller they have to show the respect to the seller decision, because only the seller know, or homeowner knows, what is the best for the family at that time. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. If you do have any questions regarding the four strategy that I'm going over today, feel free to send me a message, and I will help you answer any question that you may have. Here's my contact information. More than happy to talk and then discuss with you about any questions that you may have as well. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.